Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the Chef Yusuf Show where we learn to cook the Islamic way. Wow, it's been a long time. We didn't sit down in front of the camera. We usually are standing up preparing foods left and right. So today, inshallah, we are finally witnessing the last days of Ramadan. So the Eid, it will probably be 1 or 2 days from now. So in these 2 days, we would like to share with you some of the things, what around the world, right? Some of the things that happen in Eid around the world. What are the popular dishes around the world? Will discover some of the drinks, right? We never talked about the drinks so far, so we'll go ahead and cover what are the drinks, in different parts of the world that people could have in the month of Ramadan. But my first question for you guys is, have you guys start preparing for Eid? Do you guys want to wait for the last moment? What did we do so far? So inshallah, we'll go ahead and have a checklist of the things that we want to do. A lot of the pastries and things that people prepare in the end usually take a lot of time. Me personally, I'll tell you this again and again and again. I will go ahead and buy it ready, but I will show you some of the things that can be prepared easily. The things that does not require a lot of time, because we don't want to strain ourselves. And somehow the month of Ramadan is becoming a month of showing off, right? So this will be maybe 1 or 2 episodes. We'll talk about the drinks around the world, and we'll also talk about the Ramadan treats around the world as well, inshallah. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let's go ahead and get started. Of course, the first thing we're gonna mention, since we mentioned drinks, we're gonna talk about coffee, right? What is coffee? Of course, there is a lot of versions of coffee. In America, we have the coffee machine, right? In Italy, Europe, we have espresso, and all these things, right? But where did coffee come from? So I wanted to share with you some of the things that coffee that are very, very interesting. Before we do that, a lot of people think coffee is unhealthy. This is true if you have heart problems, or if you have depression, or if you have, weak low blood pressure. It is true. Coffee could be harmful for you, but not everyone, people could benefit from coffee. It is healthy, right? Allah made coffee for us. So there is something interesting about coffee, that it did actually came from Africa. It came from Ethiopia. Used to be known as Habasha, right? So coffee, this is where it first came from. It went to Yemen. So it was traded in Yemen, and a lot of the scholars in the Islamic in the beginning of Islam, when they drink coffee, it hypernates the brain. So for some time there was a qiyas with the coffee with alcohol, so they made it forbidden, and then after that it became legal after they know it's not really like you're messing up with the brain. It's just like a caffeinated drink, right? So it was called qahwa. Qahwa, of course, it went through Mecca because people do the pilgrimage, right? They go to the pilgrimage, and they do the pilgrimage from there, and they were from few people from Turkey who got to know the product, and they took it back to Turkey, and guess what happened? Turkish coffee, right? The kava. So we have the Turkish coffee, and from Turkey, from Constantinople, we should call it Constantinople, it went through Europe, it went through Italy, it became the cafe, and since that time the word coffee entered the English language. This is one of the things that we can learn from the food that has a long shelf value, and also we can learn from, like, if we follow, because this is some of the benefits that long shelf value have, right? It influences, and it goes to other cultures and other locations, right? So if it wasn't that coffee had a long shelf life, it could have, we never seen it. But of course, coffee, some parts of the world, people use it as a currency. They used to trade when gold and silver was low in the supply. We all know coffee, and we have different versions of coffee. Since we are in the West, I want to present to you Turkish coffee and the nomad coffee, the Bedouin coffee. Is called plain coffee. Sada coffee, right? Qahwa sada, right? So for this we need some tools, and I have a few of the Turkish coffee pots. As you can see, I have a lot of them. The reason I have a lot of them, because they are very useful. When if you want to make milk for your children, you can use these things, right? And I use them for sauces, I use them for herbs. there's a lot of herbs that we can, extract. We'll talk about that in some other episodes. But Turkish coffee is basically, I have it right here. If you go to the coffee grinder, of course you do have the espresso and the grind level. So what you want to do, you want to go ahead and shove it all the way to the Turkish brand. So it is a powder coffee, right? It's like powdered sugar. It's all the way ground, right? So what you want to do with this coffee is not like espresso, where the steam and the pressure extract the essence of the coffee. No, this is cooking the actual coffee. You're actually boiling the coffee, and this is a very artistic thing to do, because when you put it, like for example, the way we do this is we have a pot like this. We put some water, and I personally add some sugar in the beginning, so I make it sweet to the sweetness that we like, and then I will add 1 or 2 tablespoons of coffee, depending on how thick you want your coffee. Now when you put it on the heat source, you have to put the heat low, because if the heat is high, this is very familiar. People know that the coffee will go out and spill over all over the place. So it became an artist to some people, that you have to know how to take it up and down in a way that it will keep simmering but it won't splash, right? And then after you cook the coffee for like few minutes, and this is, I think, the heaviest coffee in the world, that I think it's more caffeinated than espresso, to my knowledge. I'm not sure, but we drink it in small cups like this, and it is known all over the world. Of course, in America, in South America, and in maybe parts of Europe, is not that familiar or that famous. So this is one of the first things that I wanted to share with you, because we do drink coffee 24/7 in Ramadan, in Eid, after Ramadan, and especially in Eid, man, we drink so much coffee. We keep going from house to house, and every house we go to, everyone we visit, they give us 1 cup. Imagine, we keep drinking. So this could also not be healthy as well. So anything, if you drink too much of course, is not healthy. The other thing is the nomad, the people, the Bedouin people, the people in the desert. We have to understand some of their customs and cultures. Let me just put these away a little bit. So what they do is they do have for their guests, they present them with coffee, and they come with these type of cups. You see how they are? This is the cups they do, and I want to show you like some of the things that you might want to be aware of, just in case if you went to that part of the world, and just in case if you got with those people, some of the cultural things and messages and the communication that goes with the coffee. But basically, how to make sada coffee, how to make the plain coffee, it's a really extremely long process. You keep cooking it on a slow heat. You keep cooking the coffee, and the coffee is not sweetened. It's just plain dark coffee that will I don't know how to explain it. You really have to try it. But I do have a shortcut for you. If you wanna prepare coffee that is I would say 95% similar taste, right? Of course, the one that boils for 12 hours, it tastes better, but this is almost 90% similar taste, and I'll show you how to do it real quickly. Number 1, what we need a thermostat, and this is what they use. These types of container. They are thermostat that you can add the liquid inside, and it will be hot all day long. So what you want to do, you want to add it with hot water, extremely boiling water. And the shortcut, of course, we're going to use instant coffee. We'll put the Nescafe, whatever Nescafe you have. You're going to put like maybe 2 large teaspoons, so it's going to be a little bit thicker and heavy, right? It's going to be a thick coffee. If it depends on the container, of course. If it holds, this one holds a lot. Some of them have just a little bit. You see this is like this big, but the inside is extremely small. So just be careful on how much you put. The idea is you want to have a strong coffee, but not to the point that it is like a syrup, of course not. So after you put this, there is one more secret ingredient. We're gonna put some cardamom. These are the whole cardamom, right? You put like maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces of cardamom, right? Maybe a little bit more, right? And this is a secret. When you put the cardamom with the instant coffee, maybe it takes you 15-20 minutes, and you will have approximately 90% of the plain coffee taste, right? Hello. Anyways, some of the things that I want to teach you with the nomad, with the Bedouin lifestyle, is Of course, I have to show you how to serve the coffee, because it is an insult if you serve. For example, if I serve it with my left hand, it has a bad message to your guests. So you want to always serve it with your right hand, and usually they have two cups like this. You hold the container like this with this left hand, and when you add the coffee, you don't want to fill it all the way up, because if you fill it all the way up, this is a message to the guest to tell him you are not welcome here. And a lot of fights and a lot of, you know, a lot of people died because of coffee, right? They put too much coffee, they got insulted, they draw guns on each other, and it happens, right? And of course, the guy might made a mistake. One time I was in a wedding, and the guy added a lot of coffee, and he apologized. He started apologizing and crying. He's like, "No, don't take this personally. I didn't mean to fill your cup up." I'm like, "Man, take it easy." so sometimes if they fill it too much, they by mistake they keep apologizing and crying, right? The other thing is they only have two cups. So if they have a tribe of 40 people, they will only use two cups. So they will give it to the person. The guy will drink it. They will pour for the other person. They will give it back. He will wait. He will take that back, and he doesn't wash it. Of course, he's gonna fill it and give it to the next person. So, you know, if you were sitting in this line and maybe 40 people drank from the same cup, you know, just gives you head up what you're gonna expect from plain coffee in no bad lifestyle, in the desert lifestyle. There's a lot of interesting thing that when you communicate and you deal with those people are like the most humble people. Like, if they see a little bit of war, this is like as if they own everything, right? Alhamdulillah, they praises Allah, and they're not distracted by the worldly desires. And it's amazing. We have to make a documentary about their culture, and they will not be extinct. A lot of people think, oh, they're gonna get extinct. You know, that's totally the opposite. We will be extinct, and because they are used to the harsh desert lifestyle, they will probably, you know, whatever challenge they will have, they will take it. What are the other things that in Ramadan that are famous? I want to mention to you a drink called Qamaruddin. Now, this is an interesting thing, especially from a culinary standpoint, because a lot of chefs are not familiar with this product, especially pastry chefs. Man, there is a lot of application we can use with this apricot fruit, right? It's an apricot fruit that is rolled out like a fondant, right? So imagine what we can do. We can roll it with some, you know, sweet cream, or like there's a lot of things we can do with this. It's not being experimented with a lot, right? The most they do with Qamaruddin is basically they cut it into pieces. They put it in hot water until it dissolves. They add some sugar up to your taste, and then they cool it back up so it'll become an apricot drink, right? So Qamaruddin is something that we have to, I encourage the Western people, the people who are interested about the culinary art, the people who are interested about cooking, to check out this awesome product. I'll put some pictures from the internet. I don't have it with me right now. But Qamaruddin is, of course, you know, famous in the Middle East region. The other thing is one drink that is also influenced Spain. You know, if you go to Spain, or you go to any Mexican place in America, or like a burrito place, you can order a cup of tamarindi, right? This is something. Where did tamarindi come from? It was inspired by Muslim Spain, right? This is another example of how food can influence other cultures, right? How when Islam went to Spain, how, you know, people, you know, started eating and drinking like the Muslims, right? So this is another example. Tamarindi. There are a few ways to do this, but the most famous one, when we go to a supermarket, when we go to the Mexican spices aisle, we see the dry tamarindi. You know what I'm talking about. But this is totally, completely dry, and there are better ways to prepare tamarindi, and you can buy the softer version, or the one that are a little bit that has fruit in it, still fresh. This is one brand. If you look, it is pure tamarindi. It doesn't have the white parts. Now there are cheaper versions. It's not that much, you know. It's like maybe $1 extra, but the cheaper versions they do contain the white. But the thing is, they are seeded. They took the seeds out, and basically these things are ready to be made into the tamarindi juice. Or I also want to encourage my friends with the Culinary Art Institute to check this product out. This is, you know, they probably know this, but not that well. it has a unique smell, it has a unique sour to sweet taste. It is something that we can use in the sweets, in applications, not just in tamar hindi, right? It is something that we have to investigate and see what kind of recipes that can be done with this, or what kind of sauces, and what kind of juices, or what kind of products. I feel tamar hindi has a lot of things that we can do. And the word tamar hindi is actually a word that means Indian dates. Tamar means dates, hindi means Indian. So this is our version of Indian dates. I'll show you some of the pictures of how to prepare tamar hindi. So what we want to do, we're going to go ahead and break it apart, break it into pieces into a pan. We're going to add enough water, and we want to just barely cover the chunks of this fruit, and we're going to go ahead and boil it and let it simmer a little bit, right? And until it breaks up and it becomes like sogging in the liquid, right? So what we want to do, we want to take that moisture, we want to take that extract, and we're going to strain it, and we're going to take these flavors out, right? We're going to strain it and take the juices out, right? And it will be like a paste, as you can see, right? So this paste is the condensed flavor of this juice, right? So it's a concentrated juice, right? So basically you add water, you maybe, it depends on your taste, honestly, I cannot tell you. You want to add sugar as you wish. The thing is, I want tamar hindi, right? I always want to tell this to my friends that, we do have alternatives, right? I mean, you don't have to drink Coke and Pepsi, right? A lot of people cannot boycott that stuff. It's like you can't live without it, right? No, there is a lot of things that's my whole point is, right? We have a lot of beautiful drinks that we can have, and why are we just brainwashed for Pepsi and Coke? Maybe because of the corn syrup that they buy from Monsanto. But anyways, that's another conspiracy that we're not gonna cover in this cooking show. So let's go ahead and move forward. Moving forward is, of course, everything else. I want to show you the idea, as we mentioned, that we don't have to stick with Pepsi, Sprite, and Mirinda and all these things. The herbs that we can extract out, like we have tea and some herbs like anise. If you boil anise and you put some sugar, you don't even have to put sugar, it's sweet itself. It's amazing, right? And sage, sage, it contributes to a lot of the medicine, right? There's a lot of healing when it comes to sage. You boil sage, you add some sugar, maybe you add some, you mix it with a little bit more tea because it's a little bit bitter. But this is we drink sage tea, just when we have like stomach problems, we catch a cold. So let's go ahead and stop drinking the drinks that poison ourselves, our children, and inshallah this will be our first part of Ramadan around the world. We'll be back tomorrow, and inshallah tomorrow will be the day before Eid. So if it is tomorrow Ramadan, I will greet you with the Eid greeting that we say تقبل الله منا ومنكم. May Allah accept it from you and from us. Inshallah, we'll talk to you next time. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.